What's up, guys? Today we're going to be flushing the old brake fluid out of my master cylinder and caliper of the rear brake. I've already done my front brake and now it's time for me to move on to the back brake. So what I have here is I have new brake fluid that's about 1.5 years old and brake fluid that is about 3.5 years old. All of these came out of motorcycles. I have actually seen much worse than this. These actually came out of my own motorcycles. So with that, let's get started. All of this can be done with just common hand tools. You're going to need a screwdriver to remove the cap. You're probably going to use need an Allen key. I will be using a 4mm. Of course, this is going to be optional. If you have just the L Allen key, that'll work as well. And you're going to need a wrench to do your bleeder valve or your bleeder nipple on your caliper so that you can flush the system clean. I am using a tube so that I can fill the reservoir with some brand new .4 brake fluid. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the protective plating. With that, on mine is going to be a 4mm Allen key, and we can just go right ahead and remove the plate, the safety cover. With the safety cover removed, we can go ahead and we can inspect the master cylinder. I believe it's going to be an 8mm, and I'm just knocking that so that I can get access to the top. You're going to have to remove the cover. For that, there's another 2 4mm bolts that are holding the actual piston in, and of course we also have the brake caliper. One of the things to do this, if you don't have it, you don't need it, but if you don't have it, a one-arm or one-man brake bleeding system, you can pick these things up at like Harbor Freight, or if you're in Canada, I believe it's Princess Auto. So you can go ahead and get one of those. They're really inexpensive and they will work for you, and it's a great tool to have. So with that, you just go ahead and attach it to something metal and go ahead and attach the line to it. With that, you have your 8mm. You can go ahead and, okay, just break it loose. So now that that's broken loose, now we're up onto the master cylinder. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this. Now my next step is going to be to get access to the master cylinder. Just like that. And you can go ahead and remove the screw. So instead of using just the front, I do use a combination of my front and my back brake. This one here is obviously time to get changed out. So with that, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and loosen off the cap. So before you go ahead and you crack the lid off, it's always a good idea for your gloves and your eye protection. So we'll go ahead and we'll put these on. The next thing you want to do is make sure that you have the appropriate screwdriver for the screws that are in there. The last thing you want to do is have strip screws on your cap. So you can go ahead and just remove those two screws holding the cap in. There's one. And two. Good. Carefully remove the cap. It might be stuck on there a little bit. Just wiggle it a little bit. Till you can pull the cap off. Okay, so it looks like my cap came off, but the rubber seal on the inside did not come with it. So you want to carefully remove that. Okay, and we can, this one here is still in good shape, and we want to keep this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean it up with a nice clean cloth. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but the inside of that does not look very healthy. So one of the things that we want to do, and I'm still at a good level, you want to go ahead and make sure that you have the appropriate brake fluid to go into your master cylinder. It's always going to be marked on the cap, guys. So I'm using a .4. You can go up one level, but you cannot go down. So if you're rated for a .3, when you read the cap of your brake fluid or your reservoir, if it says .3, you can go ahead and use .4, at least I do. If it says .4, you cannot use .3. Okay, you run a risk of maybe a bit boiling. Or one of the other little tricks that I have is I have one of these, and it's just a clear plastic tube, and this is what I use to actually fill. And it just grabs it, and it just makes it a little bit easier when you get it right. And what I'm doing is I'm filling it right up because I plan on getting rid of all of it. Okay, and once you've got it filled to a level, okay, you can go ahead and open up your bleeder valve on your master cylinder and go ahead and pump the brake. And I don't know if you can see that, but it is coming through. And what you want to do is you want to keep pumping and get all of that old fluid out. And just remember to not let it go dry. And just keep adding new brake fluid. and then continue to pump. Now I'm going to close this off a little bit while I fill. I noticed that some of the old stuff wanted to go back into the caliper, so okay, and I'm right up to the top again. I'll open up the valve and continue to pump. And I'll continue to do this until I feel that everything that is coming out is brand new and clear, just like what's in the bottle. And there, that part is done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up the top. I'm also going to clean up the cap and the rubber boot. And to do so, I'm going to use a microfiber cloth. So with a nice microfiber cloth, I'm going to go ahead and I am just going to wipe this down, being careful not to wipe to the inside. So I'm wiping away. There. Now my level is at the very full mark. Now I'm going to do the same with the boot. I'm just going to clean the boot, being very careful. I don't want to have to replace the boot. I'm calling it a boot. I don't actually know if it is a boot. If you guys know the actual term for it, you guys can let me know in the comments. Now, one of the things that I notice is it's kind of dirty on the inside as well. Okay, now with everything nice and clean, I can go ahead and I can put this back in, but I think I'm going to have just a little too much brake fluid in there when I add this boot to the inside. I just don't want it to overflow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up that valve and I'm just going to empty out just a little bit of that brake fluid. Okay, and you can see the big bubble that just went there. So I know I'm good there. Last but not least, I'm going to clean up this cap. Just going to make sure that everything is seated nicely. And then I'm going to go ahead and reinstall the cap. Now before I tighten it down, I just want to check the level. We seem to be good. And you don't want to go ahead and tighten one down. You just want to snug the one and then start the other one. And then move back and forth so that you get a proper seat. And again, you don't have to really tighten these down. There. And I'm just going around, just cleaning up if anything, any of that brake fluid got out or spilt a little bit. Then we can go ahead and re-secure the reservoir. Again, this one here was a 8mm, I believe. Not least, you can go ahead and reinstall your shield. Now that that's all done, you want to make sure that your bleeder is good and secured. Put the dust cap back on. Double check your brakes. I've got some good pressure. Go ahead and get rid of your one-man bleeder. Perfect. And that's it. You're done.